So a bit on dadgad tuning then. And why do you think it is such a popular tuning for all of us?
I mean, I could answer that question by going...
That's cool, doesn't it?
You know, yeah, that's
if it sounds good, it is good.
This particular track changed the world. Definitely in guitar terms, I don't think that's an exaggeration.
It was a huge viral YouTube hit back in the day, back in 2008, 7, 6.
Do you remember seeing it the first time?
Maybe it was 2009 or something, because it had millions of hits by the time I viewed it. But yeah, I think there was a series of videos as well that he shot around that time, and I think they were all hugely influential. So what impact did it have on you? And again, why this song in particular, do you think?
Well, I mean, interestingly, and I've written about this before, when I actually first saw it, my immediate reaction was kind of like, well, what's the point of doing that? Why are you trying to do drums at the same time?
These new kids think they can play guitar.
Who does he think he is?
Well, it's the hot new thing, and sometimes the instinct is to, if it is different, to discard it, right?
Yeah, I definitely think so. But then, as time went on and I was sort of experimenting with percussion, I just, discovered this guy, Andy Mckee, who is essentially a god of guitar and seems like a fine gentleman as well. And I think why this is so important as a piece of music is because it was the first time people were visually seeing this different way of playing. And what wound me up so much was because he was playing over the neck, and he was doing things
so different.
It seems unnecessary.
It's like, why would you? Yeah, unnecessary.
He's just showing off.
But that has huge visual impact. Well, he's accentuating that, which from a creative standpoint is a choice, because I think that's the reason that was the piece. Because it's not even a chord, right? It's just dadgad tuning, and for the start bit, all percussively hitting it like this. Do you think that's one of the reasons it popped?
Because it visually looks so cool.
It's so different. There's not one standard bit.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, interestingly, focusing on Andy Mckee, he's such a sensitive and beautiful player, and so often doesn't play over the neck at all.
Yeah,
and
plays. It's a lot more melodic. I think his biggest hits on Spotify, just as an example, are a lot more melodic.
Yeah, which is really interesting.
They're not this thing, because it's a different medium.
But I think what's really important to say, and another reason why I've pointed it out, is because actually the movements that he is doing, whilst they are visually impressive and that sort of, a younger person, what are you doing? It's not there for just visual wowness. It actually makes a hell of a lot of logical sense.
It's economic for the movements, right?
Totally. And I love that, personal growth element of being like, oh, what's this? And then realising it's just...
He's not playing a pentatonic scale at all.
Yeah, and then realise this is wonderful. I mean, dadgad's such a staple, really. I think it's definitely a tuning that gets used in folk a lot. And it's kind of fascinating as well, because then there's a lot of learning all the things that you know in standard tuning into dadgad tuning. I'm not here to say what's right or wrong, but in some ways it's like, let's maybe use it as a new opportunity to
really. I've always thought maybe the first thing to do would be to learn some basic chord shapes in different tunings to get a handle on it. But is the whole idea to start afresh, do you think? Do you advocate for that?
I would advocate for that, but that's a personal thing, because I do understand that sort of takes a particular mindset, if you like, that you're wanting to create something. I guess if you're wanting to create something in it, I would strongly suggest go in completely blind.
Wow.
If you're trying to learn stuff, then that's existing, then understanding the relationships between the strings is really helpful.
If you enjoy this video, why not check out the full course available at andyguitar.co.uk. Get loads of lesson content that is not available on YouTube, but is structured and easy to follow. The link to that is in the description. Let's get back to the video. I've read in an interview with John Gom that he said one of the reasons he went down this whole line of percussive fingerstyle and alternate tunings was because as soon as he was in standard tuning, he was doing the same thing as everyone else. He was using familiar chord shapes and pentatonic licks. He actually liked feeling like a beginner. I'm sure I'm paraphrasing all of that, but it made him feel more creative because it was more led by the mind. Is there anything particularly about Dadgad that perhaps forces a little bit of that? And why do you think it is such a popular tuning for all of us?
I mean, I could answer that question by going...
That's cool, doesn't it?
You know, yeah, that's
if it sounds good, it is good.
I'm totally of that thinking as well, of deliberate disorientation of you know, all of a sudden I don't know where I am, so I'm not playing those same shapes, because we get so heavy into shapes.
It's a shapes-based thing with guitar more than any other instrument. I learned a lot of piano very shapes-based, but most pianists don't at all. It's notes on the page and it's melodies, it's individual notes. I like shapes based, but also then take away the shapes, it's like, okay, what's the melody going to be? And it's a totally different headspace, super free and super creative.
But that's a hard sell, isn't it, if people are learning and then
take all that stuff you've spent ages learning away,
throw off the shackles of knowledge, and forget everything.
But exciting if you don't know any of that. That's often what people who write this sort of music, like yourself, are working with, because you're forcing yourself into not going down playing the same thing that people have heard before, the same familiar stuff that's familiar to you, so that you get something new, like that rhythm, or the songs that you write.
And I think working with those open tunings as well just enables a bit of simplistic playing, and you've got this sort of this backdrop. Do you know what I mean? So that's just one finger. You know?
Absolutely. And I love the sound personally of like a higher fretted note with an open string. That sort of idea, even in electric guitar land, riffs like Mr. Brightside really pop because of that. You can hear, I don't know, there's something about the harmonics, like they're close but they're a little bit off, and that actually makes it sound fatter. It sounds huge than if you just played the same chord but we're doing it as a bar chord, for example.
Well, when you say you've got the distance of notes, you mean?
Literally, one note, the open string, and then a note fretted up here, like the intonation's a little bit off. Even if it's really well set up, but that makes it sound huge, like a choir of people, all their singing's a little bit out of tune with each other, because people always are, but that makes it sound fatter. That gives it that human quality, which just sings through with this kind of thing. Anything else on Dadgad tuning or drifting in particular?
So it's in Dadgad that enables us to do lots of things in the higher end of strings, but just having the low drop D.
Yeah, it's huge impact, right?
Yeah, but also
even if he's at the second fret, because it's kind of like drop D. Oh, okay, we're going to hear the D. First thing we do is hear an E. It's kind of mad.
Yeah, but it's just that easy power chord, basically.
Yeah.
And actually, if you think about it, if you hadn't have really learned guitar yet and you were really starting and someone said you could play a power chord by just comfortably coming to the guitar and doing that.
Yeah, from either way, it's exciting, right?
Yeah, it's exciting and it's easy. So from that reaction of this person's showing off, it's like, no, this person's just doing what's totally intuitive. And then when we get to these percussive hits over here, it's what makes more sense than just to sort of bring your hand over. It's totally intuitive stuff. Okay, so in drifting there's these wonderful slapped harmonics, and we're just getting the whole guitar to resonate. It's singing, it lends itself to acoustic. You know?
And explain those for us now. So those were tapped harmonics or natural harmonics, I guess?
Yeah, tapped, slapped harmonics is just using, I use my middle finger and we just sort of let the hand relax, and we're aiming for the fret wire and just sort of bouncing off.
And these happen in a lot of places, but they're particularly loud and prominent and easy to get at 12th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret.
Yeah, so you're treating
all the
them
dotted
like
frets as well. They're pretty loud at, but they're the most common ones, aren't they?
Definitely, and that sort of lends to the natural harmonic idea. We can then obviously, you can then do it artificially. So I could fret on the 2nd fret, doing that power chord, for example, and then I could
go 12 frets up from there. Yeah.
So up to 14, works great too. But it's a lovely little technique, especially when you're in open tuning, because we're not trying to be super precise of doing harmonics like this, for example. We're just sort of getting the guitar to resonate.